What's up YouTube, ODST General back again with another Operation Trebuchet news update. And today guys, this is going to be a big video. Very exciting stuff this week, so kind of a release, a little bit. We'll go ahead and get into that in a few minutes. Let's go ahead, let's cover the normal news first, and then we'll go ahead and talk about the other stuff. So, first off, of course, we have buildings. So, buildings this week, we had a modular design shipyard that's been worked on by Hollywood. He's been getting this thing done at a astonishing rate. So this thing will basically be designed to be partially placed into like a cliff edge or whatever, and that way, vehicles can kind of like drive out onto these top portions of this, stuff like that. There's some bridges that interconnect the different pieces that you'll be able to have on there, some cranes and stuff. Pretty modular design, very cool. There's actually ramps that like let you get into the Drake class from the back of it to load vehicles and stuff into it. Obviously, the Drake class, at least not without cheesing it, can't fly, and even if it could, you wouldn't be able to actually load vehicles. So this is more for, obviously, just mission purposes and stuff, but still a really cool thing here. You know, the ability to drive like a Warthog into the Drake class or a different vehicle for the sake of a mission could be very awesome. Aside from that, I don't have much else to really say about this building. It's a cool building. It's still very much work in progress, but at the rate it's getting done, it'll probably be done pretty fast. There is going to be some other versions of this, and bear in mind, once again, it is modular, so this is a huge building, but when it's given to us, it'll be easier to place this down and have just like one or two berths for ships, instead of having, the 6 or whatever that are on there, or 8 by default. So you'll be able to fit, 1 or 2 Drake classes down, have it look like a decent-sized shipyard for a small town, something that a small area shipyard might have. But cool stuff. Let's go ahead and keep moving on, though. Then we have continued work on the frigate. So we've got a insurrectionist skin for the frigate. So the frigate will have multiple skins by default, specifically to an insurrectionist variant, which is the was that, I think, the Midnight Summer Midnight or whatever. I can't remember. Gosh, Midsummer's Dream? I think that's what it is. It doesn't matter. The point is that there's an insurrectionist skin, there is a UNSC skin, and there is going to be a hidden selection set up for it, so it will be texturable. So, exciting stuff for a lot of you guys. I've also got some video, too, which I probably won't use much of, which is just the frigate being attached to, I think in this case, a blackfish. So this isn't the frigate itself flying around, this is just a blackfish, and then there's some guns attached to it, so it's flying around and shooting weapons. Really cool looking, but not much else to say about it beyond that point, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Past the frigate, we have another building. We have a elevated landing pad. This is kind of being designed to work in conjunction with the shipyard, so you can kind of see that this has the same struts, same landing pads that the shipyard has. I believe it was Ethan that was working on this. I didn't tag it at the time because I was planning to record a little bit earlier. But I didn't, unfortunately, so, yeah, it doesn't really matter, but it's a cool-looking piece. Once again, not much else to say about it. We've already got some landing pads in the game, but this one's a nice elevated landing pad. And, I mean, landing pads can be such a big thing. There's so many varieties, set pieces and actual, like, mission functionality for landing Pelicans and other vehicles. I don't know that you can have enough landing pads. Probably can. But more is always welcome. That takes us out of structures and brings us into armor. We have another sneak peek at the CGA armor that Burgess is working on. Burgess has been extremely silent during the course of this coronavirus outbreak. I don't really know what he's got going on. I don't know if he's just got creative burnout or if he's been busy with something else or what, but got a sneak peek at his CGA armor, and I'm loving it. I really loved what he's kind of done with these other factions and stuff. It still feels very UNSC, and he's getting better and better at retaining the feel of something being Halo, while also going in a different direction with it. Incorporating modern-day design elements and still retaining the kind of Halo look. This one, I think, is probably, in my opinion, his best armor yet. That's not actually, like, directly based off of a Halo IP. As far as I can tell, this one might be based off of Halo concept art. I know it's kind of similar to some of the other stuff he's created that's based off of Halo concept art, but he's gotten really good at fusing these things together. And I'm really liking what's been mocked up with this thing so far, personally. Especially the helmet. The helmet's just sick looking. that brings us on over to the mass driver, which is now in game. It's probably still not functional yet. It probably still needs to be configured, I would imagine, but it is in game and set up to go that way. Very cool. Very big. Actually, it looks smaller in game than you would think, given how many armored people tall it is and how big it is in Halo. But I also feel like to get this picture with the guy in the screen, that's probably actually pretty far away that this thing is. So I think once you get closer to it, it's probably going to look a lot bigger. With that being said, I still wouldn't want to get shot by this. Beyond that, we have a couple other things here. We've got the boat. Got a few different things going. We got some damage models that have been set up for it. So it's got some like battle scarring in the first picture you guys will see, which is obviously like the default white texture that we have in the current alpha for it. We've got a black variant, like a jet black variant, and then we've got like a woodland green variant as well. Not much else to say about it right now. The textures look pretty good. The green, I don't know how I feel about the green in this. I feel like I saw another picture of the green, and the green looked a lot better in a different picture. This one almost looks like it's like a light reflecting off of the white one, like a green light. The black one's probably my favorite so far, but they're all pretty good. Maybe a blue variant or a camouflage variant would be kind of nice. I don't know. Just my own personal thoughts to have something like that. But who knows? They're still in the process of working on it and everything, so that could always change, of course. And then we've got a destroyed variant of it as well, which is actually really awesome. This might be one of the best destructed models I've seen come from Operation Trebuchet. Now, there's a lot of different destruction models, but just based off this screenshot, this is probably my favorite destruction model, is this boat. It's all rusted and everything. It looks like it's just really old, not necessarily like it's destroyed because of the rust, or, burn marks and scorch marks and stuff, but yeah, pretty neat. Going beyond the boat, we then come on over to the Rhino tank, and of course the Rhino tanks continue to get texture updates. It's continued with the LOD configs and stuff, so getting the turret working, all this other stuff. Still missing its tracks as far as being in game, but we are getting to the point where it's in game. Its barrel is moving up and down. It's got the beginnings of the artillery computer, although it looks like there might be a little bit of a bug with that, so still some work in progress stuff. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to switch gears for just a minute. I want to pause it actually. This is going to be a little bit weird because I want to record two different parts in this video, or in this audio, and then put in between it a different audio recording. So audio quality might change here for a minute, so just bear with me as far as that goes. And I'll be right back with you guys. Alright guys, so here we are in-game, and this is very exciting stuff. So this was completely unexpected, at least to me. The Optrade team has decided to release development branch builds out to the public. The idea being that these are less stable builds, but they will get more frequently released than the main Optrade builds. Now, I don't know if this will necessarily affect the main timeline that we can expect for Optrade updates and content in that sense. Maybe taking less pressure off the devs to push this content out sooner to the general public. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'd imagine that their goal is for that to not happen, though. But can't really worry about that right now. A bunch of stuff was added in here. I think I've mostly gotten everything. There's not patch notes, unfortunately, for this for the most part. There's a little bit for the first contact stuff, but it doesn't include everything. So let's go ahead, let's jump into it. So starting us off with the Optrade content, we have the rolling shutter armory cages here. So you're able to get in here, you can go up to this, interact with it. So you had to be pretty close, unfortunately, to interact with it. I don't know if that's intentional or not. Or if it's even possible to change it. So you basically have to be like right up on top of it for this to actually work. You can't be back here, you guys just get right up in there. But you can see, I go here and I take an M7, pull an M7 out, it comes off the rack. Now it's kind of interesting. I guess this is because this is the ODST one. These black ones, it actually comes out with the suppressor, the sight and everything on there. So kind of neat. If I go back in here, I can also place M7S on rack. It goes back in. If I get over a little bit more, I can take M6Cs, which I guess are right up there. Scrolling down, MA5Bs, M319s, which are the grenade launchers, of course. So, really cool stuff. And then I guess these have shutters on both sides. Now, I'm assuming that both sides are the same. Yep. So that's really awesome, and of course they come in a variety of different flavors. So there's a long range one with BMRs and BRs, sniper rifles. I'm guessing more M6Cs because this is for ODSTs as well. And I think this one's probably heavier ordnance, specialized ordnance. So yeah, you get grenade launchers and shotguns and rockets and stuff. And then you've got, you got the Army and the Marine variants as well, which have their own different independent weapons and stuff, which might be kind of similar but different. So if I take the M7 here, this is not a silenced version or anything. This is just a standard M7, for instance. So I mean, we've kind of talked about this before, but actually getting to get my hands on it, it's really awesome. Definitely love it. I do wish that you could maybe get this and interact with it a little bit further out. That's maybe my only gripe for it, because I'm thinking in the sense of my time in a clan where everybody's grouped around there, and it can be kind of difficult to squeeze in real tight to actually interact with that. And I think a lot of clans are going to use that physicalized representation of the weapons and stuff. Personally, well, I don't know, maybe not. It's hard to be personal arsenal when it comes down to it. It's easy and very broad in capability. Swinging us around, we have some more op trade content here. Some things I didn't even know were being developed. We have a landing pad light pole. Probably not the most exciting thing in here, but a neat little prop. Looks very much like a standard modern day light. Honestly, it doesn't really distinguish its Halo too much. The base maybe a little bit there, but that's about it. And then a kind of a different light pole, or at least this is listed as a light pole, but it's just like an electrical pole, which once again looks very much modern day, except for right there, which says Oni. That's looking like a wiretap box there. Okay, anyways. This is also a really cool prop. I didn't see this thing developed. I don't know when this thing was made. I'm wondering if this was made by the dog, because these are navigation drives. So these are, of course, the like good objectives or whatever, you guys destroy a navigation drive. These are what those are. I'm not sure if this was designed for the Drake class to have as like an asset on board the Drake class somewhere, or if this was developed by somebody else on the team or donated, or where these actually came from. The couple of people I talked to about it didn't seem to know, and I personally don't remember seeing these developed at any point. So really good looking asset though. Good textures, there's a variety of colors. It's high detailed. I really like it. Not much else to say about it. They don't seem to serve any functionality. There isn't anything you can really do. So, I mean, you can make them mission objectives and, tie triggers and stuff to them, but that's about it. Behind those here, we have some benches. So there's 2 new benches added, which I think... I forget who worked on benches. I forget if these were Hollywoods or somebody else, but we've got a couple benches here. So we've got bench 3 and bench 4 respectively, or the other way around. I'm not sure which is which. And then they come in a dirty variant, so... I like these benches. The benches in Optre have looked generally pretty big. These ones actually look pretty reasonably sized for a person. Very long, this one, but I mean, this is actually something I could see a person sitting on. Some of the other benches felt like really big compared to the Arma person, so definitely appreciate these benches, where these are very much sci-fi, and they also like fit the size of a person, which is really nice. And then we've got some new dress uniforms. Now, I'm not sure if these are bugged or what, because there's the ODST emblem on the chest. But these come in 3 varieties, which is a green dress uniform. Now, I don't know what this green dress uniform is supposed to be for. I'm guessing it's not the Spartans, because the Spartans use the white dress uniforms, which he's the closest to, but this could be like an army dress uniform. I'm not sure who did these retextures, so that would, I guess, be up to them. It seems like there's also some mistakes that happened in this, but once again, this is a development build, so something to bear in mind. Then we've got a medical variant of the uniform, which is white and red, which is obviously very medical, but nothing that really distinguishes it as a medical uniform aside from that, but kind of neat as well. And then personally, my favorite one from this is the white and blue uniform. So this is obviously based off of Sergeant Johnson in the original Halo 2, which Halo 2 Anniversary, they switched it to an all-white uniform, so he matched everybody else. But in the original Halo 2, he had the white and the blue, which I think was kind of cool to differentiate the Marines from the Navy. But he, like I said, he was the only person wearing it, so it didn't really make any sense. Still very cool. Definitely dig it. And we'll talk about that stuff in just a second here. We've got a large landing pad. So this is actually 2 different pieces, but I did a fairly good job at merging them together, so it's kind of hard to tell. You can kind of see the seam a little bit in the back there. I don't know if that's really translating onto YouTube. I can't really tell in my preview, but there's a little bit of a seam in there in the back. And so yeah, this is 2 different landing pads, and you could just easily mirror this around and have one really large landing pad now that's just floating above the ground. There's no texture on the exterior on the bottom, for the most part, at least not on the middle there. So there's around this edge. So I guess it is really intended to be mirrored or placed up against a building or something. Not intended to really be freestanding. Pretty cool. Like I said, I don't know that you can have enough landing pads. So pretty neat stuff. And we've got a server. So one of the server computers that is placed on the Drake class here is also available as an independent prop. The ones on the Drake class light up. This one doesn't. At least not in this lighting condition. Maybe if it was darker it would light up. I don't know. It's a cool looking prop. You know, it's based off the servers that you see in Halo Reach on Winter Contingency. So pretty cool prop. Very, very sci-fi looking prop, that's for sure. This doesn't really look like anything you'd see in real life, so it's a nice little prop for differentiating things. And maybe one of the most fun, but at this point not really having a purpose propped in here. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of hollow assets, but it looks so great, is the hollow table, which of course is designed for the Drake class. My only issue really with this is there's only the one pattern here, so you've got this Drake class loadout, and then you've got all these different hollow tables. The Drake class already automatically by default comes with one of these hollow tables, and having these other colors doesn't really make sense aside from this one black one or maybe the white one. You're not going to really have the yellow one in there realistically, but it does still use the same picture as far as I could see. So that's my only gripe with it, but it's so great anyways. I mean, it's not really a big deal at all, but I do love it. Unfortunately, it looks like they didn't get implemented in the thing that allows it to kind of take the actual like outline or like the terrain settings for the map and kind of import it into like a holographic map. That was something that had been talked about. I guess it just couldn't be done viably, or it hasn't been implemented yet at least. Yeah, it's a cool prop. It's really cool looking at night or when it's darker out because it lights up everything. It's got really cool illumination, and you can turn them on, you can turn them off. So fun, interactable prop. Now, before we get to those guys, let's go ahead and finish up the main op tray content. The frigates, of course. So like I said earlier in the video, we have 2 variants of the frigate by default, the Vanguard of Liberty and the Midsummer there, which is the Insurrectionist variant. These do not have collision. They do not have working weapons by default. They are just big, sexy static props. Yeah, not much else to say about them, though. They're glorious, they're fantastic, but that's really all there is to say. Already a ton of screenshots coming out of those, which is very awesome. So that brings us to First Contact stuff. First Contact had a number of updates, some of which are easier to show than others. I think all the weapons for the most part got overhauls and changes and tweaks. Obviously on my back, you guys saw it earlier, the fuel rod has made it into this update. That includes the tracking and non-tracking variant. The tracking issues I've mentioned previously have been fixed by giving the projectile a physical aspect to its model. It's not just a model for the fuel rod projectile. There's actually a physical model on there. That's what allows it to track. We've got an additional Covenant squads available. So this one here in front of us is like the command squad, for instance. So you've got like a field marshal, and alongside of him, he's got like a major, and I think that's a zealot, or I'm getting that backwards. I think that's the field marshal, and that's a zealot though. And then you've got another major, and you've got a couple honor guard flanking them. So that's your command squad. And then I forget what this one is, but this is like a major team or something. So you've got a zealot and a couple of elite majors. And you've got a sniper team. And then you've got like a standard kind of fire team of elites. So I feel like that one might have been in already, but these other squads are all new. So you got new squads. The Banshee was overhauled. One thing they didn't talk about, I saw a model for this ages ago, but I hadn't heard anything on it, so I was pretty surprised to see, is we've gotten a very early iteration of the plasma grenade. Doesn't really seem to stick to anything. Doesn't have much in the way of particle effects. But it looks really cool when it is thrown. It does kind of glow and stuff already, so it's a pretty cool looking grenade, even though it's not like the best grenade ever. So yeah, the plasma grenade has made it in. Now this guy, I meant to spawn in a vehicle, I didn't, and I'm kind of regretting that. this guy is still very broken. It's not set up correctly for animations. It sits high, and you can tell that you're not really in proper firing posture. Still, with that being said, if you can ignore the elites and the fact that it doesn't have its set scope yet, this is a awesome prop. And can't really demonstrate on any of those people because they're all disabled animations, but it will wreck humans. Covenant can actually withstand it to an extent, I think, but humans will be utterly annihilated by that thing, so very awesome stuff. Now, I think that is everything here for the most part as far as assets I can show off that way. There was a couple other assets added. Now, there's already been an update to both First Contact as well as main op tray. So First Contact received, if I go in here, the Mark 6 Milano armor, but this is very broken right now, which is why I didn't have it out. So Oshin's Mark 6 Milano armor, we had talked about this going into the main mod at some point. This has made it into First Contact. Looks like it's got skeletal issues, even though it was set up correctly on the independent mod. For some reason, when it was ported over, something got broken on it, so pretty sexy armor, but not really much else to say about it. There also is preparations for it, but the alternate versions don't exist of different colors, so, you know, we kind of talked about it previously, but basically all the red versus blue colors will at some point become available for that. Now, at least last I looked, there wasn't any other points of interest in here. The Rhino's not in yet. The Scorpion's not changed or anything like that. We don't have any of Vladimir's tanks or buildings. So I think that is everything, at least last I looked, and I could definitely be missing something. Like I said, unfortunately, there isn't really patch notes. Now, there is a little bit more to show off. Now, these are work-in-progress assets, once again, that you guys are going to be seeing. One is a older map that the dev team has been sitting on for a pretty good while. Now, this was at least in part developed by Bushlurker. Now, if you guys don't know who Bushlurker is, that's pretty understandable. He is very well known in certain aspects of the Arma 3 community as a whole, but unfortunately the guy passed away several years ago now at this point. He is basically like the father of map making for Arma. He literally wrote a bunch of the tutorials that, like myself and others to this day, go to when it comes to learning how to make maps for Arma. Now, he was actually at one point assisting the Optrade dev team shortly before he died. He had started working on maps for him, and as far as I'm aware, this might be one of the maps. I don't know if he was solely responsible for this map or not. Personally, me and Night Visitor were both kind of fawning over this map for the same reason, which is the skybox. Now, it is a little bit low resolution, you can see. It doesn't look too bad in the video. It's a little bit more obvious here in game to me on a 1440p monitor, but with that being said, one of the issues I've personally run into when trying to get stuff on the skybox, and if you guys have used NR6's Halo skybox, you'll have seen this, stuff tends to warp when it's put on the skybox. And he somehow figured out, and I don't know how he did this, but he somehow figured out how to get this up here without it actually being warped or distorted or anything. Now, there was some belief that maybe it was the light or the haze that the map uses, and he maybe disabled that. I don't really know, but it's awesome. So yeah, this is in theory supposed to be a space map. Obviously, with the limitations of Arma, you can't actually have space. But it's a very dark, devoid asteroid. And you can have, just moon bases or whatever, asteroid bases. I shouldn't really say moon, but you can have asteroid bases. You can have ship-to-ship battles. So when the longsword comes back in, or the short sword or whatever, you can have them battling up over here. Stuff like that. So very cool stuff. Good map for EVA operations, things like that. Definitely love this map. It's very basic. And I don't know how long the Optrade dev team's been sitting on this thing, but it has to have been a pretty long time. I don't know what the intent is as far as further development of this map. I don't know if this is planned to just go as is, or if there's plans to change or adjust any of the map or add in sections to it. Personally, I think you could just release it as is, and that would be great. I don't know if this is something you necessarily need to add buildings to. If they were, they're probably going to add an insurrectionist base that looks like it's blended in with the map, if anything. But once again, I don't know who originally developed this, and given at least to some extent it was bush lurkers work. I don't know that we'll actually see further development on this. Let's go ahead, let's back out once again. Head back into the editor. One of the reasons they did this too is all the maps got disabled for the main mod, but you can see we've got mostly the same mods. Gridlock's been updated to show that it's broken. It's been broken for a while. It's been broken since an Arma update changed the positioning of certain items. I thought it was an off-tray update, but I guess it was actually base Arma screwed it up. And yeah, so that's marked as broken now. So we've got Sopra on Reach, which is being developed by Nightovizard, it sounds like. At least I think it was. He said it's very work in progress. He was the one who messaged me. And I know Nightovizard's been working on several maps, some of which haven't even been talked about yet. Now, looking at this map, you can see still very early work in progress, pretty similar to Installation 01 when it first came out. There isn't any trees. Just mostly grass and stuff, but there is some buildings. If I go into the map here, you can see it's a pretty sizable map, a little bit smaller, I think, maybe than, well, I don't know. I feel like it's smaller than Madrigal because of the amount of water, but it is a pretty big area regardless. We do have a few farmhouses and stuff like that. The farmhouses and stuff, they look very Reach-like, at least what we have so far from it. It's hard to say, though. It's going to definitely need some further development, I think, before it really starts getting the feeling of Reach. Obviously, with Reach, you've got the big gas giant or whatever it was that's going to be in the background, so Nightovizard will have to change the skybox to try and implement that. And I think there's going to need to be some lighting adjustments and stuff, and maybe some more like haziness or something to try and get that better feeling from Reach. You know, going back and replaying Reach, it just feels like a kind of a cold place, maybe temperature-wise to live. And this doesn't necessarily reflect that, but it is obviously much more mountainous than Madrigal. Madrigal's a lot of sloping hills. It's got some bigger hills, but yeah, this is definitely a lot more mountainous, and there's differences there that you can see. I missed this. He's got a little tunnel there. Neat. Yeah, he kind of implemented this idea. He's doing really good with those. I really like that. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because I'm seeing stuff from this, and like the map maker part of me is like super jealous because he's spent so much time, and it's a lot of work, and I could get there too. I just spend more time on YouTube. Yeah, really great, but like I said, not much else to say about it because it is so early on. It's so basic. So I'm kind of curious to see what direction he goes with this map, personally. Like I said, there's definitely going to be skybox changes, like that's going to have to happen if he wants an accurate reflection of Reach. Beyond that, though, anything I think is probably fair game. I'm not sure if Sopron's actually based off of anything. I don't remember if this was part of the map that was actually shown off for Reach or not, or if this is at least like a partial thing of it. But yeah, he could do some like really cool stuff with it. I'm kind of curious because Nightovizard likes to put in Easter eggs and stuff too, kind of like I do, or at least a little bit like hidden Forerunner buildings and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was something like that already on the map. But I don't see anything quite like that, at least not from here immediately. Yeah, so that is everything for this portion of the video, guys. It is really awesome, though. These are available on the Steam Workshop. They are listed in my mod list, and if I remember when I go to upload this, I will also include these in like the comments section. I'll pin them or something so you guys can check them out. But we have more video to talk about, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to myself from previously. So I'll let me take it away. Alright guys, welcome back. So to finish us up, obviously we had a lot of awesome stuff in the last part there as far as the thing that I haven't actually recorded yet because of how I'm recording the audio. But with that being said, now that we've taken a look at the dev build stuff, let's go ahead and check out the community stuff. So as far as community stuff, we've got a couple of different really cool things here. To start us off, we have a flood infection form by Duck Sauce. So this is a concept piece for a infection form. Now, the Optrade dev team has looked at Covenant, or not Covenant, but flood infection forms and the flood in general, and just didn't really feel as viable when they had looked at it. Now, a lot of things the team once felt unviable have proven to actually be viable, or as the Arma community as a whole has grown and learned new techniques and learned how to mod and develop the game more. Things have changed, so this might be something that the Optrade team decides to reapproach, or if somebody is good enough in the community and is willing to actually carry out and finish these projects, this could be something we see. Now this infection form here is kind of basic, but this was also modeled out fairly quick from my understanding. Yeah, it looks pretty good though for a pretty quick model. It could look better, but it could look worse too. I am a little bit skeptical that we'll see this, unfortunately, just because it is such an advanced thing. I'm not too familiar with Duck Sauce's work. I feel like I've seen him in the community doing other stuff before, but I can't really remember right offhand what. So we'll just have to wait and see, and of course, as more developments come along for this, I will be covering that, but we do have more community stuff to talk about. Then we have some pretty cool structures. They feel definitely influenced by Halo Wars, and I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, so I'm going to just go ahead and throw a name out there, and if you watch this, correct me if I'm wrong. Luz, I think it's Liews, has shown these off in the Outrade Discord. So right now this is a community project, but he was going to get with Scorch to talk to him about getting this stuff in with the official dev team. So Bean Structures, this guy, I didn't see if he had a green name yet, so I actually should probably check that now, but I don't even know if he'd necessarily be online. So yeah, I don't see his name or anything in there right offhand as far as a green name, but he might be a Outrade developer before too long, especially with buildings. They're pretty easy and quick to get in, and you know, if anything, we would see, if this does get used, probably a texture change given the current project to try and use consistent textures throughout the buildings that Kenny and some of the other Outrade dev team members have been working on, trying to make it a little bit less loading required and better optimization for the Outrade buildings. As far as the buildings themselves, like I said, they're very Halo Wars inspired. These kind of green prefab buildings, very military installation looking. You know, some barricades and walls and stuff around them, but not much else to say beyond that. And then that brings us to the last little bit, which is by GEK Vengeful, who, of course, he keeps making the news here with his barricade, and they started the cargo ship, which unfortunately I don't have an update for this week, but what we do have is another project he's starting. He's very quickly blowing through it from the looks of it. Apparently he's just instantly picked up modding, and he's super god modeler now. Is the Genet, the use of Genet or whatever, a different version of it from one of the Halo games. This one obviously isn't exactly one-to-one with the base model behind it. It does need some work, but he is very quickly getting this thing knocked out of the park just based off this very basic start. And I think he started this after he started his other two projects. So this is a pretty recent thing that he's going to have been doing. At any rate, guys, that is everything I have to share with you this week. We, of course, do have more stuff always coming out, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss updates because, you know, YouTube. And as always, guys, I also want to know, what was your favorite part of this week's update, and what are you guys looking forward to the most from Operation Trebuchet in the future? Let me know that in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.